Hello, I'm Barry Kibrick, and we just saw the powerful documentary, Historic Armenia. In a few minutes, we'll see another film called The 100-Year-Old Survivor, an incredible personal look at an Armenian genocide survivor. But first, we have a chance to meet the documentarian of both films, the Emmy Award-winning journalist, Peter Musurlian. Peter, it is a pleasure to have you here. That alone is breathtaking, what we just saw, but I'm telling you, what I find most dynamic about this whole thing is the first part, Historic Armenian, is sort of a real overlook of the history of the Armenian people from their culture to their struggle. And then we get a micro version of an individual who survived the genocide. When you put that micro and macro version together, I feel that that really gives people a chance to see the complete essence of the Armenian people.
Both of these documentaries, I think people will have a chance really to see, as you said, the macro picture and the micro picture. This Historic Armenia documentary that we just saw is where the Armenians had lived for 2,000-3,000 years. And just 100 years ago, that all changed dramatically. And they went from having a couple of million people in that area to virtually none. 1.5 million killed, 500,000 being dispersed around the globe, South America, Europe, parts of the Middle East, and to the United States, where my grandfather came. And I think even for Armenian Americans, they have not seen in video these places where a gentleman by the name of Armenian-themed has taken kind of tourists, they call themselves pilgrims, to go to these places where their parents and grandparents came from. And that's where the genocide took place. And as you said, there's the next one, the 100-Year-Old Survivor, is indeed about a young boy, 7, 8 years old, who lived in one of those towns and then was forced out. His father died, his mother died, and his story is told in this documentary.
Now, what's fascinating, though, is it's not just an independent documentary. This is a one-man band. You did this, and I have a special relationship with this because my son did a documentary as a one-man band, and I know not only the difficulty in just the logistics of doing that and the effort, but the best part about that is the passion. One must have such deep passion to do something like that, and that's what I felt is brought out in both of these films, is passion. Not only the passion of the filmmaker, but the passion of the subjects, the passion of the way the story is told.
You're saying that about me, but I would say you need to say that to young people who try to get into this business. Now, you and I have been in this for a while, and I've had the opportunity to shoot and write and edit over the years. These are the circumstances where I've worked. And I wanted to do some independent projects. And when you do an independent project, you just can't, flip a coin and decide what you want to do. It's got to be something you want to do. You have to have the passion. And this is close to me. It's also, these are also stories, I think, that are underreported to a certain extent, not known, and you want to do something unique, something that you feel strongly about, you think you can add to the media landscape, because now everyone's got an iPhone, everybody's shooting stuff, it's all over YouTube. What can I do as a journalist and as a videographer and as a writer to put something together that is unique? And I hope to God that people who have watched the previous documentary, Historic Armenia, and that are about to watch the 100-Year-Old Survivor will say that was unique. That's something I haven't seen put together in that kind of package.
Well, you know what also makes it unique is, in a sense, and it's very similar to even what the Jews went through after the destruction of the temple, is you have a diaspora. You have, like you said, these people spread out, and yet the ability to maintain a culture still. So even though land is destroyed and property is destroyed, the Armenian culture is so deep and so strong at its roots, and I believe that's always because of that family connection that I see throughout this country, at least for certain. So that's, again, when a culture survives through this, you're able to show that again on that micro level of the individual, and yet as a people. There's nothing more beautiful than seeing that. I mean, you prefer never to see a diaspora or that in the first place, but to see the strength of the inner souls of these people is amazing that you bring that out.
Well, Thanks for that observation, and I think we all can point to cultures, and I think whatever culture you might be a part of, everyone says they love children, they love their families, and I think that's universal. But there's something, everyone's searching for their identity, what makes me what I am. And the Armenians did live, in these villages for thousands of years throughout this region of the world, and then this horrendous genocide took place, and they had to go to these different places of the world and somehow start over, in a Spanish-speaking culture or English-speaking country. And they were able to somehow, get together, live in the same area, unite, build a church, have a community center, and survive. And everyone's kind of had to regroup, psychologically and politically and culturally, and to keep these families and communities intact.
Now, the film we're about to see, The 100-Year-Old Survivor, is about perseverance and survival, but there's an element to it that is truly about justice. That's what I felt you were conveying, this need for justice.
The unique nature of the Armenian genocide was it happened in modern times. It wasn't 500 years ago, 400 years ago. It happened, and by the way, after that happened, Hitler proceeded with the Holocaust, and we've had the Cambodian genocide and Rwanda and Darfur, where a political entity has decided to wipe out a group. But it's never been acknowledged by the perpetrators. That's what's different than the Holocaust, is that the Germans admitted it, they paid reparations, we continue to see them pay the price for what happened. The Turkish government has never acknowledged it, and it's just this open wound that has been festering. So they've done a very good job of keeping themselves in a position where they haven't had to recognize it. They're a NATO ally, they've got an Air Force base, and some politicians will consider that more important than really an unbelievable injustice that happened and has not been rectified.
Well, Peter, I'm certain that we know this won't rectify it, but I know it's going to draw a great amount of consciousness to all people. And thank you so much for making these documentaries. I really appreciate it. I know KLCS TV appreciates it. And thank you guys, because this is real important, and we know that these films are important, and for our viewers, we want to thank you for supporting KLCS TV. So stay tuned for the moving story of the 100-Year-Old Survivor. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Barry.
My pleasure.